Welcome to the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Show. Thursday Night Football Week 8 here. Got the Chargers and Vikings in LA. Going to be taking a look at the matchup data, the insights that you need to go ahead and get your bets down here on Thursday night. Got about 6 or 7 player prop looks. Nate's going to be jumping on to drop a couple of his plays as well. And then we've got his early lines looks in a video on the channel, so make sure you check that out. Going to give you guys an opportunity to get into the VIP for a free month as well. One more time here for the NFL. So if that all sounds good, give this video a like. Let's get right into it. For those of y'all trends bettors, let's just kick it off with a pretty nice trend here. When you see 7-0 on Thursday Night Football, it's at least worth mentioning that Carson Wentz plays really well on this particular night of football. Prime time in general, been pretty good overall. Sunday night games, not a bad record either, but Thursday night is the key here for Mr. Carson Wentz. The thing about this offense for the Vikings is it's not very good. It has not been very good overall. The EPA for all of these, for rushing and passing, bad. All the red. You see all the red. They're bottom 10 in every important offensive category here. And the Chargers, the key is they're good limiting the pass. They are not very good limiting the run. And if you look at the way both of these offenses operate, a lot of passing, right? 9th in terms of the pass percentage for Minnesota, 3rd for the Chargers. The Chargers, though, is for a good reason, right? Like, we're going to see this Chargers team get a bunch of players back on the offensive line this game, and that's going to change some stuff. I don't know how much success they would have in the passing game, even if they wanted to pass a ton, but I think they want to run this game. I think they're going to get back to that with their offensive line. So despite the fact that they do have their 4th in passing yards on offense for the Chargers, I mean, they're going to run into Brian Flores' pass defense. I don't think they want to deal with that. And the best way to neutralize that is the run. So we're going to talk about how I think they're going to be running the ball a bunch here in a second. And reasons for that would include Brian Flores brings the house. We know that. If it's a Brian Flores coach team, they're going to pressure and they're going to blitz. And they're good bringing the blitz, 2nd in blitz percentage and 3rd in pressure percentage. So the blitz is working. The key for their success, though, is they're number 1 in pressure percentage when they don't blitz, which is rarely. They blitz a ton. But when they just bring the front 4 and try to get to the quarterback with the 4 defensive linemen with their hands in the ground, they're still really good. 1st in pressure percentage in those situations. We mentioned Herbert has not been good in those situations. It's not really even been his fault. Their offensive line, pass blocking, it's been terrible. 30th in pass blocking there, essentially in terms of pressure percentage allowed on their quarterback for Herbert. We've been attacking his runs actually for that reason, in that he has to get out quickly. And we've tried to attack things like, Arondé Gadsden had a pretty good week. He's going to continue to trend upward, but they're going to need those short receptions. However, I do think they're going to be okay this game. They're getting Joe Alt back. I believe he played a bit already here in the last few weeks, but by week 2, this offensive line was decimated. Pipkins missed a bunch of time. Alt missed a bunch of time. Becton missed a bunch of time as well. 3 of their best offensive linemen there, including both their tackles. So Bozeman also back at center there. They should be good on the O-line now, right? Or at least better. They're still going to be under fire here, but the run game is going to be the key. I think they bring that back into the fold, and they go from, like we said here, 3rd in passing percentage. I think they go run heavier this game, and they actually do rush the ball about 50%, perhaps even a bit more than 50% of the time. And guess what? Those SwishLand model projections I'm always talking about on the site, they agree with me. They like Kamani Vidal here because we are going to have him without Haskins, right? The key is that Hassan Haskins is not going to be playing. Well, he's doubtful. I think there's like a 90% chance he doesn't play. I want to cover myself in the case there's a 10% chance that he does play, but it seems highly unlikely that he does. Even if he did play, we've still got Vidal as the lead back. 70% of the snaps over the course of the last couple weeks after that monster game that he sort of took over the running back position when the rookie Hampton went down. This is a get-right game for the Chargers. This is the moment in time where it's like, okay, the defense for Minnesota is giving us more run than pass because of how good they are against the pass. And we need to take it because we're finally healthy. And that is the identity of a Jim Harbaugh team. He wants to establish the run before he starts getting into trickery and play action for guys like Justin Herbert. I don't think he's enjoyed having Herbert throw the ball 50 times in a game like last week, or 41, 47 times like he's been doing. And again, Minnesota's giving this to them. 11th most rush attempts against them, because when you play a pass defense this good against a blitz this good, you really need to make sure you neutralize it with the run game. So got to get Kamani in there. I think he's going to have another big one. I believe he's at about 55 yards right now. Model's got a nice 17-yard edge on it. I'm going to be betting this one. Reminder that if you do want to get in and check out those projections, get all the bets that we're putting down on landyourbets.com, go ahead and sign up for Novig. This is the sportsbook of the week here again on landyourbets.com because it's so awesome right now. The sports exchange is something that's really flying high. Everybody's jumping in right now. It's a place that you can set your own lines and choose the lines that you want to bet, peer-to-peer betting, as opposed to against the sportsbook. That's the key here. So I'd recommend signing up for it. If you do use that code LYB, then just email me, support@landyourbets.com. I'll go ahead and get you that free month so you can get the top projections around in the business. A couple more player props I want to go through before we get Nate on to drop some of his looks as well. I'm staying away from Ladd. I just wanted to make that clear. I would be leaning to the under on things like his yards, perhaps even receptions. A lot of this is game script. Like I said, I think we're finally going to see the Chargers get back to their running ways, which we know Jim Harbaugh wants to do. In the last two games, Ladd has been the beneficiary of a ton of targets because of that pass game. 54 pass attempts for Herbert when they did, I believe they pulled out the win last week. But he's benefited from that no run game, right? Hampton went down, but Dahl's been okay, but they've been trailing, and that offensive line has not given them anything in the run game, which has turned into those attempts for Herbert instead of rushes. Now I think we're going to get back to the rushes, and that does sort of diminish the amount of attempts and potential targets for Ladd. I don't see him at 24. I see him closer to 7 or 8 targets, and that's about as high as I'd go for him in this game after seeing like 15 in the last game, 9 the game before. This is going to be different. And we've got him at 10 yards of reception this season, but that's even a little bit high for him, honestly. In most of these games, outside of the one where he had like a 14-yard average, he's been at about 7 or 8 yards per game in terms of the amount per reception. He's at 5.5 receptions. The market does not like him to get 6, right? He would basically need 6 to get over his receiving yards prop. And I don't like him to get the receptions because the targets are going to be down. And I don't like him to get the yards because the targets are going to be down. So I'd be leaning to the under, but I'll at the very least be staying away from Ladd McConkey in this one. I actually like both running backs in this game because I think Jordan Mason's going to have a good time on the ground here on the road. And I don't think that the return of Aaron Jones is going to impact that, right? Aaron Jones is back. He's missed, the last 4 games or 5 games. He went out after week 2. Jordan Mason been taking over everything, including rushing and receiving out of the backfield. But I think the passing volume downs are going to go to Aaron Jones. It doesn't matter, though, because the rushing is what I'm attacking here for Jordan Mason, right? The weakest versus the rush. We talk about how you're going to want to take advantage of that against the Chargers as well. Take advantage of the fact that their defense is rated 10th against the pass, but like 25th against the run. Establish that stuff with Jordan Mason. That will lead to those Carson Wentz play actions and rollouts. That is his forte. And this is how you establish that, right? So I believe we have like a 54-yard number here for Mason. And the reason that the model is going to like that more this game is because it doesn't care that Aaron Jones is back. It knows that Aaron Jones is going to do more in the pass game than the rush game. So we're going to take Mason to get those 13 attempts and about 66 rushing yards. Nice edge over what the market's offering us. So we should go to Aaron Jones receiving, though. The model, I think, is a little bit off because it doesn't know what to do with the fact that in recent games, he has not had any targets or receptions because he's been hurt. But it knows that on average, he's looking at about 21 yards when he does get about 3 targets. I think he's good for about 3, maybe even 4 receptions in this game. So I disagree with the model in that sense, but you can tell it still sort of is recognizing that Aaron Jones is good for receiving. 21 yards is going to be a beatable number. I don't believe he has a prop right now, but if we get 12, 15 in that range, it's what I expect when it pops up, then I'm going over on that. We might even see like 8.5 because the market's like, well, he hasn't played. Who knows how many snaps he's going to get. I think he's at 40% snaps in this one, and I think his route percentage is going to be really high. We've seen his route percentage up at about 50%, while Jordan Mason's has been down when Aaron Jones is available, right? So clearly when Mason was out there without Jones, got a lot more targets. Not going to be the case in this one. So we're going to give that passing volume to Aaron Jones and keep the rushing for Jordan Mason. I know Nate is going to talk about Hawk here, TJ Hawkinson, but I got to throw it out there for a touchdown. You guys know I don't play TDs very often, just too random. Obviously, you're not going to get value on a touchdown prop. Receiver prop's always going to be a little bit better for the touchdown than the running back. And I think Hawk here at about plus 230 is worth it because whenever I see somebody who's just getting peppered with red zone targets, and I know is a key red zone target for guys like Carson Wentz, then I got to keep going back to it. He had 3 targets last week, caught one of them for a touchdown, got called back on a suspect sketchy call. I probably would have given him the TD. I think he's going to make up for it this week and is going to get that touchdown. Interestingly, the Chargers are very good limiting tight end receptions at about 4 per game is like 5th best. but they have a 10% touchdown rate against tight ends. So tight ends are, it's like third worst. Tight ends are getting touchdowns against this Charger squad when they get in the red zone. Got to take a guy who I think is going to get another one, at least, probably 2 red zone targets. All right, Nate is here. Talk about a few of the player props he likes in this Thursday night game. We are going to be talking about this offense to kick things off, being able to score on that Chargers defense here. 20.5 is the team total as we're talking on Wednesday. What do you do with this as far as the angle goes for why you like the Vikes to score?
Yeah, I just think they're going to have a reliable possession here. I'm not sure as we stand whether Herbert's going to have either of his tackles in there against the number 1 blitzing defense. So, I mean, the Vikings have been the second best defense on third down in road games, 27% holding opponents to that. So they're probably going to be able to either get some turnovers, which, by the way, Herbert's about even for another pick, or get some sacks, get some punts out of here, and get the ball back, and then they should be able to sustain success on the ground. Chargers giving up 5.8 yards per carry in their last 3. They're also allowing 7.7 yards per attempt at home, which is 4th worst in the league. That zone defense is not going to match up well against Justin Jefferson and company, especially now you got Addison garnering respect on the other side of the field. I think it could be a relatively easy night for Wentz as far as like, can the Chargers get any pressure? Khalil Mack came back last week, seemed to come back a little too soon, was not a major factor against the Colts. And I mean, Kevin O'Connell is pretty brilliant. He can cook up a lot of the same stuff Shane Steichen did, which just made that Chargers defense look completely inept. Like just nothing for him. I think the Vikings will get some misdirection stuff going, use one of the best receivers in the game, and just be able to move the ball down the field and get points on the board.
Yep, totally agree. I do think Jordan Mason is probably in line for a good game on the ground. I think Aaron Jones coming back actually looks pretty good in the air. That's one of the angles I have here is him receiving as long as he gets even 35, 40% snap for Aaron Jones in his return back. They definitely waited a while to bring him back. So I think you're going to have a little bit more dynamicism. And Mr. Wentz, Mr. Thursday Night Football, 7-0 on TNF. So if you like him to be able to slang that thing,
I would say, Jordan Mason, it doesn't have a rushing yard prop up yet, but I think it might be a little more exploitable just because Aaron Jones is coming back. I don't think that's really going to cut into Mason's early down work. If they have success pounding the ball between the tackles, it's going to be Jordan Mason. Jones is going to take snaps from Xavier Scott.
Yeah, and honestly, Jones is going to take snaps when they're passing. Honestly, it's going to be a lot of him in those wheel routes. Don't be surprised if you see him in the slot here and there as well against this Chargers defense to help with those quick passes against some pressure that they might see. And honestly, I'm not totally scared of the total. I know it's remaining low for a reason. Both these teams play, or at least one of them plays relatively slowly. But I do think that with a better run game for them, I think that Vidal is going to be hitting some big chunk yardage as well against the Vikings. You need to run against them, similar to the Broncos, who are a better defense overall. But this pass defense for the Vikes is good enough that you do need to establish the run game, and they're much worse against it. But let's talk about some receiving for the Chargers, the Vikings here, as we talk about TJ Hawkinson. He has a pretty low total here on his yardage, and you're looking at him, even though you mentioned Jay Jetta as a pretty good play. Again, I think we both agree Wentz is going to have some success, and this is going to be where he goes as well.
Yeah, and it's a pretty, reliable target distribution. There's 3 guys that basically Wentz throws the ball to. And Hawkinson just has a more vulnerable number by far than either of these receivers who have been hot. He's been reliable, though. I mean, in 4 starts with Wentz, 5.3 catches for 42 yards, basically had 7 of 9 targets last week, and that touchdown was overturned on a kind of a questionable review. But the last 3, he's up to 82% of the routes is Hawkinson. And the Chargers are going to drop back. They just try to limit the big play, right? They're going to drop back. They're probably going to bracket Jefferson when they can. Yeah. And that's just going to allow Wentz to take the check down. We talk about veteran quarterbacks being smart enough to just take that 7-8 yard gain where it's there. And I mean, that's what Hawkinson is averaging, 8 yards per catch. And he's implied up to minus 160 to get 4 catches. So it's basically like books are saying it's a lock. He gets 32. And are you willing to take the positive variance there that he gets a few more than that? I mean, he did top this 3 straight home games with Darnold to end last season as he returned from a really bad knee injury. Don't forget, now he's fully healthy. He's looking pretty damn good. And yeah, this is basically a home game. It's a retro roof game, right? It's a positive setting for passing. So I think we can take a good receiving tight end.
Agreed. What's interesting that I found about the defense for the Chargers is Hawkins, tight ends rather specifically. They are good limiting receptions to tight ends, about 4 per game, 3.9. This is the receiving tight end, as we know, so it's not like we're really worried about big sets that are going to, cause other tight ends to sneak targets away from him. But they are bad limiting touchdowns. I think Hawk is a nice little touchdown play for like a half a unit here. You're still going to get better than 2 to 1, and they have a 10% touchdown percentage against them as far as tight ends go on the season, getting a lot of tutties up to that position specifically once you get in the red zone. So I think he's going to be a good look for that. Don't know if I'd target
3 red zone targets last week too for Hawkinson.
There you go. He's going to keep getting them. Yep, he's going to keep getting them. So I'm with you on that one. I like that look there. Like I said, the only thing I would even worry about is Aaron Jones vulturing some of the targets actually from Hawk. That would be where I'd be worried about them be siphoning away. But we still don't know what Aaron Jones' snap count is going to be, etc. So I'm not going to make that a reason I wouldn't bet on Hawkinson. So appreciate the time for week 8, Nate. Make sure you check out Nate's early lines looks. Also has some props in there. I'm in there with that on that episode. And then he's got the closing lines that he'll have for you this week with the props and some sides and totals. So appreciate the time as always, Nate. Talk soon. All right, appreciate the time from everybody and Nate's bets. Like I said, make sure you check out the early line episode he has up. A few more player prop looks in there in addition to those sides and totals that we're betting with you guys. But make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Got the NBA every day now, as you know. So excited to keep going on that with you guys. And until I see y'all next, happy betting.